Swarupananda said, check, is it on? Yeah. Yesterday, Swami Swarupananda said, we live in the age of Kali Yuga, and it started 5,000 years ago. But from my perspective, another way to look at it is we live in the age of artificial intelligence, and it started just 2 years ago, November 2023. Although I exaggerate a point, artificial intelligence as a concept has been around for now 85 years. 1960, Dartmouth mathematician John Murray coined the term at a conference, but it remained theoretical for many years. And even after it went from theory to laboratory, it was dismissed as an impractical science. Like when I was at graduate school and studied AI, and at the time, if you had said you want to do a PhD, people would laugh at you, saying you are committing career suicide. But in the last few years, it has escaped out of the laboratory and somehow entered our lives and our hands. And it's happened very recently. And so I'm going to spend some time today talking to you about 3 forms of intelligence. Artificial intelligence, which seems to be invading every aspect of our life. But even more importantly, something we study here and spend a lot of time thinking about, and most human beings actually use it all the time, our natural intelligence. And then a third concept of divine intelligence, something at TTC and ATTC spend a lot of time contemplating about, whatever your definition might be for that term, and how all of these 3 link together. So I'm going to spend the first 20 minutes or so talking about artificial intelligence. It is the fastest growing technology or tool that humans have created. Give me a second, let me bring up my presentation here. Perfect. So we'll start spending some time talking about artificial intelligence, and as I said, you fall into one of 3 buckets, I'm pretty sure. Either you are doing something where you're building it, you might be working in a job or a profession where you're actually responsible for creating it, or you might be using it extensively as part of it, and many of you have talked about it, or you're watching it from a distance with either excitement or fear. And just to get a sense of the room, how many of you are excited about what is coming to humanity because of artificial intelligence? You're like jumping out of your chair saying, this is amazing. That's interesting. 2 or 3 hands. How many of you are a little concerned and worried about it and a little anxious? Raise your hand. About 40% of the room. So I'm going to demystify the fear and yet talk about address the fears and what is our collective responsibility as a group of yogis in the yoga community in this thing that is happening very quickly, and also remind you to think of something Swami Swarupananda said. In the context of some other topic, he said, you have agency, you're not a victim. You have power, ability, responsibility. And even as AI is hurtling forward, I'm going to challenge you and say, what is your agency? What is your responsibility in shaping the future of AI, which is exactly what I spoke about at TED 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. How do we shape the future of AI? So as I mentioned, it is the fastest developing tool, and emphasize the word tool, and I'll come to it in a minute, that humans have created, which means we can use a tool. We are a unique species that know how to use tools. But it's moving so quickly. I'm going to show you some things that happened just in the last 3 months. So 90 days ago, I could not have done it. And that's how quickly these things are evolving. And plus, everything I'm showing you today, you can also do it. You have equal access to it. So I'm not showing you anything special because I work at Google or it's in the lab. It's already out in the public. I'm just using publicly available capabilities, equally accessible to you for free. Nothing I'm showing you need to pay for. And it's completely available for free. And that is the astonishing thing. Never before in history have we put out so much in the hands of human beings saying, here, use it. And it's available for free and giving you a lot of power. So just today, before coming to this talk, I was playing around with one of those tools. I can name them if you're curious. But mostly I want to stay out of it. It's not the tool, it's just the capability I want to talk about. But in case you wonder, I use something with a very strange name. It came out just last week. Nano Banana Pro. It's actually called Nano Banana. I asked it saying, I want to paint a picture. And I could show you live. It'll take a few seconds, so I actually brought the things to generate. I said, show me a picture of a camel riding a skateboard through Dubai. Okay, kind of an odd thing to ask. But I said, let's see what it does with it. And it took about 19, 20 seconds. And if you don't believe me, I can actually pull it up live and just do this whole thing all over again. But just to save time during this presentation, this is the picture it gave me, right? Almost instantaneously, camel riding on a skateboard through Dubai. I don't think anybody has ever imagined or painted this. And yet, the tool was able to do, including it had a sense of humor. It threw on the side of the building Lotus Labs Future Mobility Project or something. And then I went back and said, actually change it. This I'm going to show to a Sivananda yoga session. So the prompt I gave it was, can you change it, but make it the style of Indian devotional art, given all of these pictures? I said, it'll be nice to match it, the exact same picture, just redraw it. And that was the prompt I gave it, to the style of Indian devotional art. It took another 7, 8 seconds. It said it's thinking, and it drew this. And the brilliance of it, as you can see the elements, I said, make sure the camel is on a skateboard. It did put the skateboard, except it's full of yantras and lotus and stuff. And it cleverly loaded, renamed it Lotus Labs. It didn't stop there. Those of you can read Sanskrit and understand it, it actually did a Sanskrit translation. So it can speak this ancient language that died 600 years ago. It says Lotus Samsthipam, okay, Lotus Labs. And it had Hanuman-like figures flying all over. And its sense of humor didn't stop there. It's because I said the camel is to be riding in Dubai, even though Indian art style. It has the Dubai skyline on the left. And those who've been to Dubai would recognize that is the Burj Al Khalifa next to the Burj Al Arab, right? Yeah, the hotel. And the tallest building and the World Trade Center. So the skyline, it's like the buildings are pretty accurate. This is the astonishing power. So I look at people like Emily who study and follow art to say, is this artistically sophisticated or not? And some of you might say, this is ridiculous. You know, what happens to artists who took painstakingly all the time? But I'd say, what if you were to think the other way? It is empowered. I have the imagination. I don't have the artistic skills. But now even I can be an artist, at least a preliminary, if you want to do a design, etc. So there's lots of things, questions it raises, but I just want you to focus on and show you some of the kind of capabilities that are rapidly coming to us. Let me actually show some other things that it can do. It can actually act as my personal assistant, and I'm carrying one of those assistants with me, just an AI tool. You could be using this. You could download it from an app store. So I talk to it all the time when I have questions, and I had a few questions today. And see the way it responds to my questions. Here I'm at this Sivananda ashram, and they were talking today about pratyahara and dharana. What is the difference?
Oh, pratyahara and dharana are both important steps in yoga, but they have different focuses. Pratyahara is about withdrawing the senses from external stimuli, sort of bringing your awareness inwards. Dharana is the next step.
Okay, that's good. Can you hear the back? Yeah, sound carrying. All right. So I like to spend most of my time practicing Raja Yoga. Could I combine it with Karma Yoga?
Yes, you can definitely combine Raj Yoga with Karma Yoga. In fact, many believe that they are complementary. While Raj Yoga focuses on mental discipline and meditation, Karma Yoga is about selfless action. So working with others while maintaining a focused and detached mind can actually support your Raj Yoga practice.
All right, all that's good. Can you explain all this to me in Japanese, please?
はい、かしこまりますね。プラティアハーラとダーラナについて解説しますよ。プラティアハーラは五感を外界から引き離して内側に意識を向けること。
All right, thank you very much. So as you can see the versatility of these tools and effortlessly. Oh, no. Arigatou gozaimasu. So the versatility of these tools, you can go into at once to talk about concepts from Hatha Yoga Pradipika and translate it. And then I say switch to Japanese, and it didn't skip a beat. And like I said, these tools are available and empower us to do incredible things. But in this case, it was picking up information. I can actually make it do things. And here is another quick example of, like I said, all these things 90, 120 days ago, I could not do it. this is just available to me at this rapidly evolving pace. Hold on a second. Kevin, lift to talk is giving trouble. We're thinking of doing meditation on the beach tomorrow. Is it going to rain?
There is a 45% chance of rain during the day tomorrow in Nassau, with a forecast of sunny conditions otherwise.
Okay, so nothing else in you. I just lifted the watch. It understands. It was ready to talk. And the fact that this AI capability has been ported from other powerful computing machinery just to a watch. And it's got capabilities here also. And here, I didn't say where I was. It immediately said, you're Nassau. I know that. And it's going to 40% chance of the rain. One more thing that I want to show. Let me see if I'll make it work. Can you play the song Yamore by Salifa Keita?
I'm playing Yamore by Mo Black, Salif Keita, and Cesaria Evora on YouTube Music, as I couldn't find a song titled Amor solely by Salif Keita.
Okay. I shouldn't play this for too long, right? The Swamis are not going to approve. So that's Salifa Keita from Mali singing in Malian and French, along with Cesaria Evora. She sings in Portuguese, and the song's about the 90s, I think, maybe 80s. But Mo Black, the pioneer of Afrobeat, recently remixed it in Ibiza and Cape Town, and that's become widely popular. So some of you may recognize this. And that's the version I wanted. So when I talked to the watch, the AI agent on the watch reached out to the AI agent on YouTube, found the particular piece of song I wanted, and then brought it back. And noticed something else it did very cleverly. When it was about the weather, it spoke on the watch, but said music is not going to play very well. So I decided to talk to the phone and say, can you play the music on the phone? And that's where you heard it. And if I'm in the car, it'll come out on the car speakers if I got Bluetooth. So this is AI agents automatically figuring these things out and doing it for us. Again, the level of sophistication suddenly that's in our hands is incredible. And with that, I wanted to demonstrate this thing that is coming towards you. Whether you like it or not, it's going to jump surfaces. It's not simply going to be on a rectangular device like a notebook or iPad. It's going to be on your phone, it's going to be on your watch, it's going to be on your doorknob, it's going to be on your refrigerator, it's going to be on your car dashboard, and it's going to do amazing things. Already it's on the Nest security camera at home, so that you could be sitting here in Nassau and talking to it saying, when exactly did the dog jump over the fence? And from the security camera, it'll say that, oh, it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because it looks through all the videos and is able to answer that question. It all is pretty astonishing, but I'm not going to stop. Couple of more demos, and partly what I want to, before I get to our natural intelligence and divine intelligence, is impress upon you, not impress you, but impress upon you the scale at which this technology is moving. And collectively, as humanity, we are developing it. So in the midst of all of this, one group of people said, this is all fine, but we live in a three-dimensional world. And can we make these AI agents understand the three-dimensional world? We have tablas, we have watches, these devices, and be able to help us navigate and contextualize it. And they went to work on it, and sure enough, they did. So I'm going to do a quick video demo, just to show you its power, but then I'll do it on my phone itself. And what I'm showing, I said everything that I'm going to show you today, you have access to it. What I'm going to show you on the video, it's a little experimental. It'll later be in your hands. So this one is not quite out in the hands of everyone. It's called Project Astra. But we did this as a demo, and we've been showing it for a year. And in this video, you'll see one of my colleagues. He's repairing a bicycle, just a normal weekend activity if you're a bicycle enthusiast. Except that these days, if you're a triathlete, if you have a fancy bike, very quickly the bicycle can get technical if you're trying to repair it. And you have a lot of questions. And as he encounters problems, he just talks to his AI agent on his phone. And look at the sophisticated way by which the AI agent helps solve his problem, all the different things it can do. So I'll first show a video, and then I'll show a demo in the room, a slightly scaled down capability. Here we go. So he's repairing his bicycle.
Hey, go online and look for a user's manual for a Huffy mountain bike.
I have found a user manual for you. What would you like to know about it?
Okay, cool. Now scroll until you find the section about the brakes.
Sure thing. Looking for that page now.
I think I stripped this screw. Can you go on YouTube and find a video for how to fix that?
Of course. I'm opening YouTube now. This looks like a good video.
Place a rubber band over the head of the screw.
Oh, nice.
Press down
Nice.
firmly.
Can you go through my emails with the bike shop and find which size hex nut I need?
Sure. According to the email from Bicycle Habitat, you need a 3/8" hex nut for your sprocket. I've highlighted the correct bin for you.
It seems like I need a spare tension screw. Can you call the nearest bike shop and see what they have in stock?
Yep. Calling them now. I'll get back to you with what they have in stock.
I think my brake pads are wearing down. Can you check the manual again and see if it talks about them anywhere?
According to the manual, if you look on page
Hey.
24,
Do you want to get lunch?
Yeah, give me 5 minutes. Can you finish what you were saying?
as I was saying, if you look on page 24, section 2, you'll see how to replace the brake.
So as you can see, as he was going about the repair job, he wanted to say, go look at the email and go look at the YouTube manual and find this information, call up the store, where's the hex nut in the bin, and was able to navigate all this. And that sort of capability is now available in the palm of your hands. Actually, if you haven't noticed it, it's available just on your Google search alone on the phone. So for example, as I'm looking around this room, I may need help on different things, and I'm just going to go do a demo, and you could be doing this as well. It can see things around me and help me. It can become electronics tech support person very quickly. What is this device I'm looking at, and how do I connect it?
That's an Alto Professional TS312 speaker. To connect it, first connect the power cable to the speaker and a power outlet. Then use an XLR
Or it can go from there to be my horticultural assistant. Hey, what is this plant I'm looking at?
That looks like a golden pothos. They're a really popular houseplant because they're so easy to take care of.
Will this grow in California?
Yes, golden pothos can grow in California, but they prefer warm conditions. So they do better indoors or in a shaded area if you're keeping.
And she's matching my accent also, right? And she can go from being a horticulturist to being my docent of Indian art. What is this painting figurine I'm looking at?
That's a painting of Hanuman, a prominent figure in Hinduism. He is often depicted as a monkey-faced human.
Why
and
is this?
known for
Why
his-
I see his chest is ripped open and there are some figures inside. What's going on there?
That powerful depiction shows Hanuman ripping open his chest to reveal Rama and Sita within, symbolizing his unwavering devotion to them. Would you
Nailed it, right? It is astonishing. You very quickly, it is so, now it can interact with physical things as well. And the next phase of all of this is it'll actually perform actions for you. It'll complete tasks like book your travel and your entire vacation, sign you up for TTC. If you tell it to, it's called where it access your agent on your behalf and completes tasks. So this is the direction in which the world is heading. And the question is, if you're putting so much of technology in the hands of people, will humans actually use it, embrace it? Is this too much? Is it too fast for us to absorb? So I'm going to ask you all a question. All this is fine. I'm looking at plans. I'm asking you to help how to connect the speaker. But will you trust your life with AI? How many of you are prepared to do that? Raise your hands. One hand, 1%. Will you two, 1.5, okay? Will you trust your children's life with AI? Yeah, just about. Yeah? You said yeah? One person said yes, they're willing to trust. But almost 99% of the room is like, no, that's like pushing the boundaries. I'm not quite sure. So I run a psychology experiment just to see how quickly are humans willing to adapt. I tell friends, family visiting, I will take you around the city, San Francisco, where I live, on one condition. I'll take you to the most iconic site, the Golden Gate Bridge, but you have to come with me in an AI-powered self-driving car. And every single time I've made this offer, people have jumped into the car with enthusiasm, not with trepidation. And it's astounding. And not only that, there is another thing that I noticed 5 minutes into the ride. And before we go any further, how many of you have ridden one of these self-driving cars at least once? You have, because I took you. Couple of people, right? Couple of five, three. Kevin, you're in, and four, about 6 or 7. I want to show you a recording of something I did recently. This part of this experiment, my friend Benja Stegerland, a professor of business from Norway, was visiting San Francisco with her 2 daughters, Vilde and Ella. And when I made this offer, this is what I watched, and I recorded them, and I'll show what's going on here. So hello, if you're watching this video, this is coming live from San Francisco. You are seeing the Golden Gate Bridge, and I'm in a Waymo self-driving car operated by Waymo, a member company of Google parent Alphabet. And as you can see, there's no driver. We just left the Golden Gate Bridge, and we are riding to central San Francisco, experiencing what the future of transportation will be. And I am riding here with my amazing friends, visiting from Norway, and there is first Ella, and there is Wilde, and there is Benja, all having an amazing time. Welcome to the future of transportation. No driver required, and one of the safest ways to get around, thanks to the amazing powers of artificial intelligence. And what is so what I've observed every single time, those of you who've ridden will probably confirm this. The first 2-3 minutes, there's this excitement. I want to take pictures and videos and send it back to my family and post on social media. And after that, as you saw in Ella and Vilde and Benja do, they just sit back and relax and enjoy it as if they've been doing this all their life. The normalization of these technologies in the lives of people, I find it astounding. How quickly humans are adapting it and using it, and then going on as if they've lived with this all their life. I was not expecting that. In fact, just with self-driving cars, I'll give you a piece of stat. So far, just in these cars that we put out in just 2 cities, San Francisco and Los Angeles, 15 million rides have already taken place. To put that in context, that is like everybody in the state of New York or Pennsylvania having ridden at least once. That shows the pace of adoption. And as of now, it's being rolled out in 15 cities, including international cities, London, Tokyo. In about 10 years, I'm predicting that this notion of driving a car yourself will seem very antiquated. Just like, yeah, you'll be laughing, right? And somebody raised the question to me in one of my workshops, what happened to the jobs of these people driving these cars? But it's exactly how the world adapts and changes very quickly. In the 1960s, more than 50,000 people in New York City alone had this terribly boring, dead-end job of sitting inside an elevator and pushing the button for you. And said, I want to go to the 6th floor. Because people were afraid to operate it themselves with the type of elevators that used to exist by then. They were a little dangerous also. You could plummet to your death if it opened the door at the wrong time, etc. But now, the idea seems ridiculous. Who wants to do it? None of us want to do that job. We don't want our kids to do that job. And it's good that the people who did this have retired or moved on to other jobs. In a similar way, what seems kind of strange now will become part of our lives. Now, all of this is raising questions. There is capabilities, but we are actually using this to solve problems. And I wanted to show 2 more from that model of, are we using these technologies in a more dharmic way? In my rush to get, I did not load 2 of those presentations on, but I'll quickly bring it up here. Jump to, so bear with me while I look for what I wanted to show. 2021. Yeah, I got it. So I want to show you 2 examples of how AI is actually being used in a way that will benefit humanity, and we are solving problems in a way that we could not have solved before, traditional methods. So example 1. India, country of 1.8 billion people, 1.4 billion people, has only 20,000 radiologists. Most of them live in urban areas. 70% of the population is in rural areas. So if you're in Mumbai or we just had a friend visiting, and I. If you're in a big urban city, Hyderabad or Mumbai, you have access. But if you live in Guntur or Tiruchirappalli, you may not have access to this. India has one of the highest incidences of tuberculosis deaths, which seems unconscionable because in today's day and age, we can solve for it if we diagnose it early. Same with breast cancer. But the people who are discovered and eventually die find out when it's too late because they don't get diagnosed early. And the number of radiologists you're not going to increase overnight. It takes a long time to educate them. And even if people go to medical school, radiology is not the first area of specialization people want to tackle. Is that right? Yeah, that's my niece saying, yeah, she's about to go to med school. So she wants to study gynecology, not radiology. So therefore, we have to be creative in other ways. Because of the 20,000 radiologists, there's only one for every 100,000 patients. The gold standard, by modern medical standards, you need one for every 20,000. So how do we solve for this problem? One of the ideas that they've come up with, and they're working on it, implementing it, is to use X-ray equipped vehicles, vans, going into rural areas and taking images of the population above a certain age, and then using AI to do the initial triage. And the AI system says these are the 63 people who are susceptible to tuberculosis or breast cancer or anything else it is trying to diagnose. And those people who are picked from that using AI are then sent to see the specialist who might be available in a nearby town. And this way that one radiologist is able to scale to a population of 100,000. Here's a quick video of how that works, just to give you a sense of scale of how out there people are thinking about solving really big problems using these new kind of capabilities. The human ability to solve problems for others is changing because of that. And that's one of my colleagues.
We've been partnering with Apollo Hospital and Dr. Raju and his team for several years now. We have an effort in the use of AI to detect tuberculosis from chest x-rays as a means of triaging. We need solutions that could be scalable and are cost effective so that you could then detect tuberculosis early enough and thus reduce the spread in communities. And for the case of AI for chest x-ray solutions, it felt like a great fit.
One really good example of how AI can be used is having a van going into the villages with an X-ray machine on board. The patients can come, have a screening done, and then also have their X-ray done. And the X-ray will then be transmitted to a central location where AI can give an immediate interpretation about the likelihood of TB. And this interpretation will later be confirmed by a radiologist. It will act as an aid to the radiologist so that they can make the diagnosis more quickly and more effectively.
So it's an example of how can we use AI to solve for a problem we couldn't solve using traditional methods. I'll give you a second example of that, just to give you a sense of, while it's interesting to make this technology draw the picture of a camel riding a skateboard, it's far more useful when you deploy it for these kind of real humanitarian situations or big human problems that we did not solve before. Half the world's population is at the risk of flooding. Half the world's population. We all think we live in an okay area, but you never know when that once-in-a-century flood will come. And if you think this is not possible, I'll give you two examples. The city of Chennai in southern India, where getting water is a problem most of the time, had massive floods about, I think, 10 years ago, or maybe 15. Dubai, middle of the desert, had floods 3 years ago. So you never know. So the current flood prediction models usually warn you, especially if you live along rivers around the world, you get one-day warning. Not enough time to evacuate with your family and your livestock. And mostly it is actually people, very vulnerable sections of people who live along the riverbanks. For example, the river Ganges. And all the rivers actually that we speak about in Arati, Ganga-cha, Yamuna-cha, Godavari, Narmade, Sindhu, Kaveri, right? All of those rivers that we invoke during our Arati all have huge populations living along them. The Ganges has 400 million, the most densely populated area in the world. Over centuries, they migrated and lived there. Great decision when it came to access to water and fertile agricultural land, but terrible decision when it comes to monsoon season. So a team of people, colleagues of mine, said, can we use AI to build a prediction model that'll tell you when the river is going to get flooded and more than 1 day advance notice? So they went and tried the experiment, and around the Ganges River, I'll play a short video of how they thought about this problem, just to again give you a sense of how these technologies can be used to address things that we humans just could not have solved otherwise. Here it goes.
To be able to provide a forecast in real time, we rely on the government we're working with.
We complement their effort by adding accurate modeling to that process. We start by collecting thousands of satellite images to build a digital model of the terrain. Based on these maps, we generate hundreds of thousands of simulations of how the river could possibly behave. We receive the measurements from the government and cross those measurements with our simulations. We can then send those forecasts to individuals using search, maps, and Android notifications. This is an example of an alert that we can produce. This alert is for Patna. This alert has over 90% accuracy. The lead time is incredibly important, even more than the specifics.
Any information we can give, they will use.
You want to show them the alert? Talking to people who directly experience severe floods and understanding what they really need is incredibly important for us to know how we can really help.
So amazing. So all of these technologies that we built is incredible, and I wanted to show you, give you a sense of what is going on here, and give you a flavor for what's happening with artificial intelligence. But I wanted to pivot from here to this question and demystify it and make it more comfortable for you. What created artificial intelligence? Who created it? Humans, right? Out of our natural intelligence. So this is where I say we will have to have a sense of agency. It didn't just fall from the sky, this suddenly powerful skill. It is us as a species that is creating it. So I want to spend some time making you think about natural intelligence. And this is a powerful capability we've had. Around 200 million years ago, whenever the Cambrian explosion took place, there was a huge proliferation of species, one of the most prolific periods of biology. And out of that period, of all the species that came first from water, I understand, and then went on to land, one species diverged in a different direction. That's us. We diverged in two important ways. We developed a superior intelligence, or natural intelligence, unlike any other species. And our brains developed not in size, but in its capability, including the only species that has so far can deal with abstract concepts and logic, like language, like music, mathematical formulas. And we are the only species that works hard on changing our environment so extensively. No other species build structures like this and put air conditioners and elevators to go up 100 floors. We modify our environment. And we do it through the second big skill we showed, starting with our ancestors, that no other species has exhibited to this extent. What is it that we humans have built over a long period of time? We build the one thing that differentiated. It started with the early ancestors. We built tools, starting with stone tools and then industrial tools and then computer. Everything we build is a tool. So for the last 12,000 years especially has been a prolific time of tool building. We use our natural intelligence to build tools to change our environment. For example, I was looking for one of my props. It should be here. Oh, no, I find it. Yeah, I just wanted to pull out a pen. So we don't pay much attention to it, but this is a very sophisticated tool. In fact, if we just look at the tool, look at the amount of human intelligence that has gone into it. Natural intelligence. There's plastic, there's metal, there's ink, there's pricing, there's branding. So many sophisticated concepts. And most importantly, I pull out this pen, start scribbling, and there comes language. And depending on what I scribble, you either read poetry or my life story or a business plan. We are the only species that can communicate in this fashion. And this is a highly, highly sophisticated capability. In the past, in the beginning, the tools evolved maybe a century at a time, like the wheel and stone cutting tools, etc. And we sped it up during the industrial era, revolution, when the tools changed forward at decades at a time. And then we hit the computer era when every year it would change. But now with AI, it is changing every 90 days, or sometimes even in weeks. When I've taken this week off, by the time I go back, I'll feel hopelessly behind. Things have moved forward that quickly. But with tools, what we're doing is we build these tools, and once in a century we build a tool that dramatically changes the arc of civilization. So the printing press in 1440. 600 years later, it's an incredible tool. Or electricity, another thing that fundamentally changed our life. Just look at all the use cases. Or the automobile, and now, starting 2023, this new tool has fallen into our hands. So it is still a tool that we are building, and I like to define AI at a very basic level, if you're trying to understand, as another tool that mimics our natural intelligence. And I add one more word after that: it amplifies our natural intelligence. And that amplification is critical because our brain power is limited. So if I look at this ashram and its leadership, I'd say there are 10 people primarily. What if I could get the capacity of 100 brains in the same 10 people? And with AI, we'll be able to do it, and that's how we are solving these problems in a way that could not. And I want to create a sense of excitement around it, the possibilities that this brings about. However, with every tool humans have built, while there is enormous potential, we also have this incredible talent to use it for great destructive purposes. And this is what we all fear. This is real. We've done that with these beautiful cruise ships as an example, right? And as somebody came up with the concept of boat, it was good to transport people and goods. We still do that, and some people said, oh, we can also use it for recreation, and that's how the concept of cruise ships. But you also know of the cases where these similar huge-looking vehicles on the water can be warships. And this is the human mind redevising the tool to do other things, and we have enormous talent. And that is something that collectively we have to ask the question: what if AI were used for those purposes? What if this was end up in the wrong hands? It is not what if, it will definitely. And what is our sense of agency there to prevent that from happening? And this is where I want to then quickly, since we're running out of time, move you to the concept of divine intelligence. So my own theory in this field has been, in order to use AI for the right purposes, we need to be connected to some divine intelligence. And the term immediately gets confusing and controversial, as everybody has their own version. And when I speak outside of this, a group like this, I have to carefully pick the language and definition, and I'll tell you one that I used when I gave this talk at Stanford University at the Memorial Church in last November. I ask people to imagine this situation, no matter what the belief systems are about, is there a consciousness out there? Is there a divine intelligence? Here's a simple question. Right now, things feel very quiet and peaceful here, right? We're sitting in an ashram, listening to a speech. Most of you are like, when is the guy going to wrap up so I can go to bed? I will soon, in a few minutes. And while you're sitting there thinking all this, do you recognize that you're actually spinning on this planet at 1,000 miles per hour, this very minute? And not only are you spinning on its own axis at 1,000 miles per hour, this planet we are sitting on is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. It's 107,000 kilometers. You are on a self-driving planet. You who would not trust your life with AI, you are willing to trust your life with a self-driving planet. You and your kids are hurtling around at 67,000 miles, and you're sitting there quietly singing Jai Ganesha. And not only that, it spins all the way around and comes back to the exact same point, 365 and 1/4 days later, year after year after year. There's never been a situation when you get a planetary report saying this year there were a couple of planetary bodies on the way, there was a traffic jam, the Earth is going to take 4 more days to get to this point, you postpone your birthday by 4 days. such precision, right? Jokes apart. And we are just one tiny planet spinning around one star. Do you know how many stars there are around the world? Estimated is 200 billion trillion is what astronomers will tell. A number so large, I have no idea what that means. And I've asked astronomers the question, like, how far away is the edge of the universe? And they say it's infinite. There is no end to it, which, of course, the Vedas and Shastras also have been telling us for a long time. But it's the observable edge of the universe is about 47 billion light years away, which means light from the outer edge of the planet has been traveling for 47 billion years and has arrived at this. So there's a vastness to this that we can barely even comprehend. And we sit in the middle of this quietly, imagining that we are the most important thing in this entire universe. Look at me! Our egos tried it all. But when you think of the vastness, you realize there is something governing all of this. And we need to be connected to that sense of largeness to then orient our thinking around all of these technologies that is coming. What is our purpose? How will we use it in this really large universe that we live in? And we have our own central purpose here. So this is where the connection to divine intelligence is needed. And if you have that governor, I like to believe that we will then start using and directing and building these technologies very, very differently. So at least starting with this, a group like this, I can ask that question, like, as you continue to build your relationship with this concept called divine intelligence, which is then needed to govern what kind of artificial intelligence will be built for the world, how will we use and deploy it? And that is this large, big, profound question that, in the interest of time, I'm going to wind up. I'm just going to ask you to contemplate upon it. Maybe when I come back tomorrow, I might continue on it. And the premise of what I want to position to you and leave you with that and let you think about it as you fall asleep is, we have superior natural intelligence compared to every other species. We use it to build tools. Why? Because we want to solve problems with it. And why do we want to do that? We want to solve problems, by and large, to improve the human condition. And one of those tools that is being built very, 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 very quickly with the capabilities I showed you is artificial intelligence. And there's the question that is hanging out there, will we use it for greater good? Will we use it for greatest evil? And that question will be answered depending on how each of us feels a sense of connection with the divine intelligence and therefore is guided by what I call viveka or discrimination. And this is my call to action for all of you. Own that sense of agency and responsibility and ask yourself, and how will you bring it out into the world? On that big question that I ask you to ponder, I don't yet have the answers. I want you to come and tell me. I wish you good night and a good night's sleep. Om Namah Shivaya.
Gopi, can we say the final announcements in Japanese? So I'd like to give another very big hand to Gopi Kallayil for this beautiful presentation. And we look forward for more presentation tomorrow. So now we'll go over the schedule for tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, for the students of the ATTC, you'll have the regular schedule, and tomorrow you'll have the study of the Yoga Sutras, and for the TTCs also the regular schedule, and tomorrow you'll have the class on the mantra initiation, a kirtan class, and about the subject of the mantra initiation at noon in the Sivananda hall.